This is Toledo Symphony Lab, a behind-the-scenes look at the world of classical music from WGTE Public Media and your Toledo Symphony. I'm Brad Cresswell, and we have a full house today. Joining me on the phone are the Toledo Symphony's music director, Alain Trudel. Also a very special guest, that is violinist Blake Pouliot, who is performing with the symphony this Saturday. We'll talk about that in a moment. But we also have a couple of regular panelists, artistic administrator, principal second violin Merwin Sue, the TSO's marketing director Felicia Canny, and last but not least, we have a special guest in the associate concertmaster of the Toledo Symphony, and that is Taya Prokes. Welcome, Taya.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And welcome to you, Alain, and welcome to you, Blake, calling in by phone. Where are you right now, Blake?
Hello.
Hello. Alain, hello. I'm currently at the top of a valley of Elysian Park in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. Where are you, Alain?
I'm in Montreal conducting Fledermaus.
Wow, you're conducting and talking to us at the same time. That's wonderful.
Well, we knew the opera pretty well by now.
Okay, so it might be a little confusing with, we've got two people on the phone here and four people in the studio. We'll try not to talk all over each other. We're going to talk about a concert that's happening this Saturday, March 2nd. It's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at the Valentine Theater. Alain is conducting. Blake is performing music of Mozart, Violin Concerto No. 5. It also has the Simple Symphony of Benjamin Britten and the Symphony No. 4, the Italian Symphony of Felix Mendelssohn. Now, the thing that all three of these works have in common is that their composers were fairly young when they wrote these pieces, or at least the material that later was used for these pieces. And the theme of both the concert and the podcast today is musical geniuses. No pressure there, Blake. But what do you say to somebody calling you a musical genius?
Oh, I called him a liar. I definitely wouldn't say I'm a musical genius. That's pretty far stretched. But
you're Canadian, aren't you, Blake?
Yeah.
I am. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I haven't apologized enough.
Exactly.
Oh no, you'll get your chance. Don't worry.
Great. Good. No, I wouldn't say that about myself. I definitely think I'm musically inclined, and I think that, for a lot of us, Alain included, you want to talk about genius, look at his resume. That's something that he's done from a very young age, and, all of us, I think, if we have just a tendency and a natural ability and an innate musical creativity, we try to nurture that, and then we grow from it. If someone called me a genius, I'd say, well, to me, a genius is someone who it's just so organic and it's so innate that there's almost no work. It just kind of happens. And I can definitely say that is not me.
Well, anyway, let's. I want to hear from you, Alain. Let me pull up your. This is Alain's walk-on music. Okay, let me bring your music down a little bit, Alain. Alain Trudel. You've had your experience with musical geniuses. Some people would call you a bit of a musical genius. Put it in perspective for us. Tell us, what you think of. Are you okay there, Blake? You sound like something's going on. You all right? Are you still with us?
No, I'm just, this is what it sounds like when you're a genius.
Okay. Let me pass it over to you, Alain. Go ahead.
Well, to give you a little bit of perspective, and to totally negate what Blake just said, when I used to be conductor of the Toronto Symphony Youth Orchestra for many years, and I remember a little 11-year-old kid who showed up in the first violin section one year, and within the first week, I learned his part of Mahler's First Symphony by heart.
Wow.
And was looking at me straight in the eyes for the entire year for every single piece we played. I'd call that a genius, but you can also call him Blake Pouliot.
Wow.
Wow.
Because he was that kid.
Blake, do you remember that?
No. No, I do. I do remember that. I do remember learning the Mahler Symphony and really that entire first experience of being in the orchestra with Alain, and it was I was actually one of the most life-changing experiences. It really opened my eyes to being enveloped in this intense classical world, and I just I loved it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's being part of a family also, because we practice our instruments by ourselves, and if you talk about young geniuses, very often they wind up like Mozart, for example. I mean, his father thought, well, this is God's gift to music. I have to show him around to everybody all across Europe and everywhere, and it's a very lonely life. So it's great to have a part of your life that's had to be in collectivity, with the other members of the orchestra, and you learn to evolve, because that's also, having conducted a lot of young performers, like anywhere between the age of let's say 8 and 14, playing their first concertos with orchestra, but they're quote unquote geniuses. That it's very rare. It's very, very rare. Maybe I've had like one or two that you can say, oh yeah, okay, this person really has something special, because it's something to be able to play a bunch of notes, but a genius is something else. A little bit like Blake said, is that it's like it transpires to you. You transcend music without even knowing what you're really doing.
Yeah.
So that's I think, and that's the starting point for geniuses, and then after that they mature, and sometimes it gets complicated, because it's very hard to manage. As hard as it is to manage success, it's even harder to manage this God-given talent when you get a little older and you start asking yourself, questions, and that's the hard part.
Yeah. Blake, are you still there? Sounded like there was a dog barking or something going on there.
I mean, I'm in a public park trying to relax, so there's some animals coming through.
It's lions and tigers and bears, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Genius has got to take a break.
Yeah. Well, before I get your opinion on everything that Alain said, I'm going to give you a choice, Blake. We picked out, when I say we, I mean me, picked out a couple of walk-on music selections for you. So you can choose from these two. Here's the first one. That sounds like a nice walk through the park in Los Angeles, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one. Let me stop that. Here's the other one. Hang on.
More like a skip through the park.
Yeah. Now, this is, we decided, the after-school special version. Wait for it. Wait for it. There we go. That's happy and peppy. Do you consider yourself sort of a happy and peppy guy, or?
I think, yeah, definitely. I think I try to be more optimistic and positive than negative. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that second one actually it matches the landscape I'm in a little bit more, I think.
Okay, good.
I'm also
good.
I'm not skipping at all. The other one,
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit of what you can see right now? What set the scene for us with this music?
Sure. So I'm at the top of Elysian Park, and the way that I'm looking, I'm looking over an entire valley. There's a playground in the middle of it, and there's a boulevard that runs completely through, covered in palm trees. And in front of me is the San Gabriel Mountains, and all the tops of the mountains are covered in snow. And
Wow.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting up here in just a light sweater, because it's only about 60 degrees here. So, and it's just green everywhere and lovely because it's been raining a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, they liked it here. You get a lot of applause for that.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, now that we're a few minutes out, why don't you tell us what you think about what Alain said? Does anybody remember what you talked about, Alain?
No.
I do, I think. Basically what he was talking about was just the fact that what it means, especially when it comes to creating a musical family, and it comes to having someone there on the road and having someone there with you and creating these partnerships. And I totally agree with him. I mean, one of the things that's so special about being musicians, all of us, a lot of us in the room there in the studio with you and myself and Alain, is that, you kind of accumulate all these people in your life, and even if you have nothing in common or if you're from completely different places, there's always this unanimous theme that we can all relate to, which is music. And I think that that's really special, and it creates a sense of unity. And over time, but unlike like anything, you can get along with everybody and have a common ground, but sometimes you click with someone a little bit more. And I know for myself, with Alain, we've been very fortunate that, I literally grew up with him, and he was not only a conductor, but he was also a mentor and someone that I confide in for advice and for musical education, and it's really special. And so for something like this, being able to perform the Mozart this weekend, it's really, really incredible to think so many years later. I mean, now, 14 years later since I met him, and we've done a tour around Canada together with the National Youth Orchestra of Canada. I played under him as concertmaster with the Toronto Symphony Youth Orchestra. We've performed in Ottawa twice with different orchestras, and we've just really developed this wonderful rapport that I'm so grateful for. And so for me, this weekend is really special because this is one of these friendships and musical partnerships that only come along a couple times in a lifetime, and I can't wait to show everyone that relationship.
Have the two of you performed that particular violin concerto before in concert?
No.
No.
Okay.
We've done Sibelius on tour. We've done Corn Gold. And we've done a bunch of other things, but we haven't done Mozart. We've done Mozart symphonies together. We've done a lot of Mozart, Mahler, but quite a bit of Mozart, and it's going to be fun to have it in that situation. And also, and that I thought that Blake was such the right person to invite for this program. Not only, as you see, he's a very, he's a very positive person and a really a musical genius. But also to go with the program and to go with our other musical genius are the composers, because as great as we can be as instrumentalists, as musicians, as an interpret, conductor, soloist, orchestra musician, the real geniuses, honestly, are the composers, because all we do is try to translate for people what they wrote. So if they don't write music, we don't do anything.
Yeah. Well, who decided on this concerto, the Concerto Number 5 of Mozart? Whose choice was it?
Mozart.
Excellent.
I think I proposed. Oh,
no! Wait. You know what? I have a better Mozart effect.
okay.
There we go.
Oh my God.
Okay. How did it happen that you chose this?
We had two concertos we wanted to do. That I want to do with Blake. I basically have a list of pieces I want to do with him, and one side has the most classical things, and the other side has the more modern things. Like the next modern thing we'll do together, not modern, but really gritty kind of music will be Shostakovich, the first one.
Has he told you this yet? Is this, or are you finding this out totally as a surprise?
No, this is premeditated. We've talked about this for years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you didn't know that we switched, and it's happening this weekend, right?
I did not. No. Thank you for the heads up. Oh, that's why you called me.
Yeah, that's right.
In my mind, it's important to do late Mozart and then do Beethoven. It's that kind of progression.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this violin concerto a little bit. It's the last of his 5 concertos. He wrote them all, in a fairly short period of time. But they really progressed. I mean, it wasn't really until his 3rd concerto or so that he started to really find his way.
I think the first concerto gets a really bad rap.
Oh yeah,
are we
going to have a Mozart smackdown here? A little.
Well, I'll agree that the second concerto is maybe not as strong, but I think the first concerto is really underplayed.
What about you, Taya? What do you think?
I actually agree with Marwan. I really like the first concerto a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you very rarely see it performed because I feel like most people choose to play 4 or 5, which are incredible works.
I will admit I don't know the first as well as I know the other ones.
Well, we're going to sing it for you right now.
You mean you didn't bring your violins? We want to hear a double, triple concerto, from Mozart. Blake, what do you think about where does this stand in his, collection of 5 concertos? And what do you think about that first concerto?
Oh, I actually totally agree. It's funny. I love the first concerto. I think actually part of the reason why us as violinists, I think we cling to it is the fact that it's the only one that's in a accidental key. It's in B flat, and so the rest of them are all in major, D major, A major, G major, another D major. And I think that actually is what makes it so pretty, but that's also what makes it very difficult, is it's incredibly awkward to play. But I love it. I think it's a beautiful piece. I think it's quite charming. And when it comes to the second, I also agree. And I think a big part of that is the fact that we have his 4th concerto and the second concerto, which are both in D major. And the second just doesn't have the same depth. It doesn't have the same kind of trajectory that I think the fourth concerto displays. And so because of that, it feels a little bit off-putting, or like just a little like honky-tonk.
And there's a word I've never heard with Mozart before.
Never associated that with Mozart before. Good one. Oh, he thought it was funny. That's good.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, just a genius has got to describe what he can.
That's right.
And just no, it's total. I really agree. I think the third concerto is actually my favorite, the G major. I think the second movement of the G major concerto is actually one of the most serene things I've ever heard in my life. I think it's absolutely stunning. I love the fifth concerto too, but my only concern with the fifth concerto is that it's really hard. It's really long. It's a full concerto. I find it really tricky, and I also think that it's especially the third movement, which is this rondo. It's so playful and charming. I think it's the movement out of all the concertos you can actually put the most originality into, but. The double-edged sword of that is that it also involves so much extra thought and really trying to make it, I don't know, I find it very complex. But at the same time, that's what makes it so fun. And that's why I like it so much, is the fact that it's really a wonderful challenge and something I love to attack and approach.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. It'll be great to hear it coming up this weekend. Yeah. Again, that concert... if you didn't catch it earlier, it's happening at the Valentine Theater. It's this Saturday, March 2nd at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Blake Pouliot, the violinist, along with Alain Trudel, our fearless leader, leading the Toledo Symphony, will hear the Simple Symphony of Benjamin Britten, the Violin Concerto No. 5 of Mozart we've been talking about, also the Italian Symphony of Felix Mendelssohn. Do we want to talk a little bit about the other pieces that are on the program as well? I love that Simple Symphony, which... I guess was made up of different themes that Britten wrote when he was just a kid, right?
It's just a kid when he was like 5 years old. Yeah. No, but really when he was very, very young, and he started, playing a little bit on the piano, his first little composition, and then he finally put all of this together a little bit later. And it's called Simple Symphony, but you can ask our string players. There's nothing simple about putting this together.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Taylor's shaking her head no.
It is not a simple
you.
project.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And about Mendelssohn is that, of course, this is not a work when he was 11 or 14, like when he wrote Midsummer Night's Dreams Overture when he was 14. But this represents musical genius, and very often we tend to forget the maturity that Mendelssohn had when he was very young. It's not just about virtuosity. He was an incredibly mature musician, thinker, and composer from a very, very tender age. So I wanted to put all those three together, celebrate all their genius with Blake and with us.
Yeah. Well, now that we're back on the topic of musical geniuses and geniuses in general, I don't know if you all got my email I sent out. I asked you, if you could each pick a genius that you could bring to the table and just tell us who your choice is, and it doesn't have to be Blake or Alain or anybody else in this room. Put it out there who your genius is and why you would choose them. Did everybody do that?
I thought this was supposed to be a guessing game.
Yeah, well, okay, we can make it a guessing game.
Is that how?
Yeah,
no one's going to guess mine.
You give us a clue as to who it is, and then we'll see if we can guess. Well, do you have one, Blake, that you can entice us with? Hang on.
I do.
Okay. Here, wait for the bridge here. Wait for the post. There we go. All right, you're clear, Blake. Go ahead.
So, my version of a genius, and someone who I think is a genius, is an Irish person. They're inclined to, and particularly good at writing, and they've only come out with two books, and both have received major international
acclaim. Frank McCourt.
No.
Okay. Tia thinks that was a good guess, though.
I thought it was a very good guess.
Yeah. So do you have any more clues? Okay, so an Irish author. Is somebody who's still alive or dead?
Very much alive.
Very much alive.
I told you no one was going to get it.
An Irish author who has written 2 books.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Is it a male or a female?
Female.
Okay. What's her name?
So the game's over, I guess.
Well, does anybody have an idea?
No, I don't.
Total
Okay.
blank.
Doesn't that mean I won, though? Because no one got it.
Well, that's one notch in your favor, right? For Blake.
Yeah, great.
Okay, who was it?
My genius is a young Irish novelist named Sally Rooney.
I was going to say Sally Rooney. That was my next
so.
guess. Yeah.
You're dealing with a lot of skeptical looks in the studio, Brad.
Go ahead, Blake.
I don't know. I think that I think this is one of the things I was going to... I didn't bring this up earlier because I wanted to bring it up now when it came to my decision of a genius. But I think that the topic of a genius is kind of subjective in a sense. But, I mean, when it comes to this writer, I think she's absolutely brilliant, and she's only 26 now, and both of her debut novel was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize, and her second novel that just came out was immediately longlisted for the Man Booker Prize. She's won so many literary awards, and I think that she has a brilliant new voice, a very tangible approach to like a contemporary theme of relationships and interaction, and I think, in my mind, she's a total genius.
Tell me your name again.
Sally Rooney.
Sally Rooney. Everybody write that down. Sally Rooney. We'll go check it out. Okay. See? A learning experience. All right, Taya, you have one? You have one that you can help us, that you can give us a clue for? Let me get a little music for you here. Hang on. Okay, give it a minute. You got to let these things settle in a little bit. There we go.
I know.
All right, Taya, go ahead.
Okay, here's my clue. A young, scrappy, and hungry genius with roots in the Caribbean who went on to do great things in New York, just like the man he wrote a musical about. You can safely say that this genius did not throw away his shot.
Lin-Manuel Miranda. Hey, wait, we don't know if I'm right. It could have been somebody else.
Is that right?
Shot in the dark.
Merwin is correct. It is Lin-Manuel Miranda.
You're in good company. We're fans.
Nice. Why did you choose him?
I chose Lin-Manuel because I feel like he's inspirational in a lot of ways, but even when you just look at what is currently his most famous show of Hamilton, writing the book, the music, the lyrics, for this phenomenally smart and kind of poignant show. Yeah. I think he's a genius.
Yeah. He's a pretty good actor, too. I've seen him do a few things here and there.
Yeah, and I mean, as playing the title role of Alexander Hamilton in the original cast, just a phenomenal character.
Yeah. This isn't really Hamilton music I've got going.
No, it is not.
By the way.
But should we pass it over to Felicia? Do you have a...
Oh, yes. I did not think of a list of clues, but I'm just going to say one word, and I think we'll all get it. Facebook.
What's his name? Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg, yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg?
The enthusiasm
is that it?
Out the window. Yes. And I don't,
I really want to hear why you chose Mr. Facebook.
To me, a genius is somebody who revolutionizes the way that we do things, And prior to 2004, is it? Before Facebook existed, we communicated in completely different ways, and now social media is so mainstream. It's like we can't get through our lives without it. So I think there's a hint of genius in that, or at least incredible foresight into what communications could be in the future. Yeah. And I mean, I live it every day in the marketing realm, so it's something that's top of mind.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you defended that thesis pretty well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very impressed.
Elaine, did you have a genius who wanted to throw on us there?
Yes, of course. Okay, let me give you a few clues.
Okay,
you'd have a real problem getting your flu shot if that guy never existed.
Jonas Salk.
And you would have, you wouldn't be able to take your finals in calculus.
Isaac Newton.
He's French.
Oh, of course.
Alain.
Alain Descartes.
Blaise Pascal.
Blaise Pascal, yeah.
Yeah. and for people who don't know him, go and check him out. It's incredible mathematics and also in science.
Yeah, good choice.
And
Really good.
somebody who made a difference.
Yeah, so definitely made a difference. What do you say, Merwin?
I went in a completely different direction.
Somebody who didn't make a difference.
He's a great Canadian.
Oh, of course. Justin Trudeau.
Oh, I think Alain could get it with just that clue. He's a great Canadian.
Wayne Gretzky.
Yes, there it is.
Really?
I totally went with Wayne Gretzky. Wow.
I just hit every button I could.
All 99 of the buttons, I see.
Yeah.
But I think
Wayne Gretzky. What did he play? He was a hockey player, right?
Basketball.
viola. No.
Like curling? No.
Yeah. But so
Yeah.
I think one thing that I was really intrigued by was there's a great article by Malcolm Gladwell, and he talks about three geniuses kind of in detail. He talks about Wayne Gretzky, he talks about Yo-Yo Ma, and he talks about Charlie Wilson, who is a brain surgeon.
Oh.
And he talks about all of these different elements that are largely playing into something called physical genius. This, where you're taking this relatively limited set of skills and somehow being able to, like, within this very, very small scope, make an incredible difference. And he talked about how Charlie Wilson would take the same skills that he brought to neurosurgery and try to become an amazing tennis player, and wasn't able to do it, even though he approached it with a manic dedication. And how you can take effort and you can take education and a basic kind of physical fitness for the work, and yet somehow there is this level of imagination and sight and this ability to take all of these disparate things that happen. So, for example, on a hockey rink, there's 10 skaters, and yet somehow a genius can see patterns of behavior where other people just see random occurrences. And I thought that was a really, really fascinating thing to be able to somehow compare a musician and an athlete. And so I wanted to bring Gretzky into the conversation.
I'm sorry, what did you say? I missed part of that. No.
Were you checking Facebook? I think you were checking Facebook.
I was looking on Facebook. Okay. Everybody agree with Gretzky?
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, the three Canadians said yes.
3 Canadians. Hey, we're tied today. 3 Canadians and 3 non-Canadians. Where are you from, Taya?
I'm from Buffalo.
Okay.
From
That's
Buffalo, New York.
close to
Basically
Canada.
Canadian.
I am almost in Canada.
You're a swing boat here.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to have to leave it at that because we're running out of time. But again, the concert is happening this weekend, Saturday, March 2nd, 2 o'clock in the afternoon at the Valentine Theater. Blake Pouliot, the violinist, performing Mozart's Violin Concerto No. 5. Alain Trudel at the podium with the Toledo Symphony. We'll also hear the Simple Symphony of Benjamin Britten, and Felix Mendelssohn's Symphony No. 4, his Italian Symphony. This program is a production of WGTE Public Media in collaboration with our sponsor, the Toledo Symphony. You can download episodes of this program as a podcast by going to our website at wgte.org/lab. You can also subscribe to us through your podcast app of choice, including Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. I'm Brad Cresswell. You've been listening to Toledo Symphony Lab on FM 91.